What's up, guys? Vital Syntax here, and Call of Duty Ghosts is set to be revealed for the first time this coming Tuesday, May 21st, alongside the announcement of the next generation Xbox from Microsoft. And they're going to be live streaming this press event on the Xbox dashboard, xbox.com, and probably a couple other locations, maybe Twitch TV or YouTube's live streaming. We'll have to wait and see, but make sure you keep an eye out on Tuesday for all the new and updated information. I'll probably make some videos covering all that information if you guys want to subscribe. Anyway, I made a video yesterday that talked about my wish list for the next generation Xbox and talked about some of the hardware and software upgrades that I'd like to see. I'll have a link in the description to that video if you guys want to check it out. But in this video, I want to talk about similar ideas, but for Call of Duty and for the next generation of Call of Duty games that are going to be coming out over the next couple of years. So I have some bullet points here of things I'd like to see updated and changed, and feel free to leave any ideas you guys have down in the comments down below. So the first thing is a new / updated game engine. They've been using the same game engine for quite a while now, and ultimately that's because they hit the limit of the hardware. They can't really push the game technology-wise any farther because they're limited by the actual hardware that's in the current generation of consoles. And with the next gen, we should be able to push that boundary a little bit farther, hopefully having things like higher resolution textures, higher polygon counts for more detailed, objects and three-dimensional objects, having more and greater particle effects for better explosions and weapon muzzle flashes, and having better lighting effects for more dynamic weather, and actually maybe having like real sun effects and lighting effects where you can shoot out lights and they actually have realistic shadows, or having realistic physics and ragdoll effects where you can maybe like chip away at cover and destruction. There's so many things that they can expand upon with a new improved set of hardware that I'm really excited to see that on my PC, because I've really been kind of limited by the graphics, and my PC has been able to run it totally fine while the consoles have been kind of holding it back. So for a PC gamer like myself, it's really exciting. Maybe not because I'm going to buy a console, although I do kind of plan on purchasing one of either the PS4 or the Xbox 720. I'm not really sure which one, but I'm more excited just because now the consoles aren't going to be holding back the graphics and the technology from us PC gamers. Because let's face it, most games are designed specifically first for the consoles because that's the larger market, and then they're ported to the PC. And yeah, you might be able to run the games at higher resolutions or higher frame rates, but a lot of games don't take full advantage of gaming PCs. I mean, there's some like Battlefield or Crysis or Metro, but most of them don't. And I'm really excited that maybe more of them will in the future. Next thing is better sound effects. I really don't like this gun sound effects. If you look up a comparison video of like Battlefield 3 sound effects versus Call of Duty sound effects or Black Ops 2 sound effects, they'll show guns side by side, and the Battlefield 3 sounds are so superior. They sound so much more realistic and impressive. And I hope that just the sound engine in general for Call of Duty can be improved upon. Also just things like explosions and ambient sounds and stuff in the background. Another big thing that I'd like to see is dedicated servers for both the PC and the consoles. They had dedicated servers in Call of Duty 4, they had dedicated servers in Black Ops, but they didn't have it in Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops 2, which was kind of weird, or in Modern Warfare 3 on the PC, which is really stupid. I think nowadays dedicated servers are a must, and I also think server-side hit detection is also something they need to move towards. If you look at something like a game like Counter-Strike, they have server-side hit detection, and then you look at something like Call of Duty, you get shot around corners, and the reason is because you have client-side hit detection. What you see on your screen isn't necessarily the same thing as what other people see on other screens. And you also have to have a host, and there's a bunch of other things where I think that if they brought dedicated servers to both the PC mostly, I think that the PC definitely needs to have dedicated servers, but I think the console guys should have it as well, and also give us the ability to like rent our own servers, have custom servers and stuff like that. That way they can kind of take some of the load off of Treyarch or Infinity Ward or Activision or whatever running the servers themselves, because that can be kind of pricey. Moving on to maps and weapons, I would personally like to see larger maps. Now, some people like to see smaller maps. I mean, if you look back at Call of Duty 4 and then you look at Black Ops 2, the maps have shrunk quite a bit in my eyes. And I like the bigger maps. I like the larger Call of Duty size or Call of Duty 4 size maps. And I'd like to see even bigger maps and maybe even a higher player count, like 32 players. I don't think anything higher than that would really fit into Call of Duty. If you had like 48 or 64 players like you do in something like Battlefield, I think that's a little bit too much, a little bit too hectic. I mean, it could work if you made the maps large enough. There's no reason it couldn't. But I think 32 is probably the highest that I would like to see it go. But just having larger maps, I'm personally not a fan of those super fast pace, the instant you spawn you're shooting at somebody maps. But some people like those, so they definitely need to have variety because they need to please everybody. I'd also like to see like a firing range, like a way to test out weapons and test out attachments. And one way they could do this really easily is they always have this obstacle course in Call of Duty games where you have to try and beat a certain amount of time and shoot targets. Well, why not just give us the ability to choose what weapon we're using in that target practice and what attachments we have? That way we can test out the weapon before we can use it online, or before we even unlock it, just to see what we want to unlock. Maybe you see this really cool sight on this really cool gun that we don't have unlocked yet, and then we can test it out and it's really awesome. Then we can try to work towards unlocking that and actually using it in multiplayer. And also, just for map design purposes, I like maps that have a lot of open areas, that have lots of flanking routes. I hate choke points in both Battlefield, like Operation Metro, and in Call of Duty games, but I also understand that some people like that, so just give us variety, I guess, is really the only way to fix that. But moving on to weapons, I would like to see a lot of changes in the weapons. And most of them are moving towards more realistic gun handling aspects. Things like increasing recoil, adding muzzle velocity and travel time to bullets, adding bullet drop. That way that submachine guns maybe are not quite as useful at longer ranges, and you have to shoot above the targets. You have to shoot way in front of your targets, which makes it a lot more less useful. Whereas an assault rifle or a sniper rifle at longer ranges, the bullet travels a lot faster, so you can don't have to lead your targets quite as much. You don't have to shoot quite as high above them. Introducing realistic bullet velocity and travel time like that is something that I think would be really cool and would benefit the game a lot. Also increasing the headshot multiplier. Now, most of the guns in Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and some of the other Call of Duty games have like a 1.2 or like a 1.4 headshot multiplier. That means the amount of damage you do whenever you get a headshot, whereas most other games have at least a 200% headshot multiplier. And I think that it needs to have a 200 headshot multiplier. That way you actually get rewarded for getting headshots, and it puts a lot more emphasis on who can aim better and who has more skill in aiming, which is really what a first-person shooter should be all about, is who has the best aim should outshoot the other player. And another way they can improve on it benefiting the person that can shoot better is by increasing the time to kill. That way if you get shot in the back, or you're maybe not the person to get the first shot off, but if you can aim better, you can get a headshot, and then you can outshot the other person. Maybe just increasing the time to kill by 1 bullet. I mean, right now most of the assault rifles will kill in 3 bullets, because they do like 33 to 40 damage up close. So it'll take a guy down in 3 bullets. Whereas in Battlefield, and I keep coming back to Battlefield, I don't want Call of Duty to become Battlefield, but there's a lot of things in in Battlefield that I like a lot more than Battlefield. I'm getting confused. There's a lot more things in Battlefield that I like a lot more than Call of Duty, and maybe that's just because I've played Battlefield so much lately. I could be completely off my horses on a bunch of these things, and let me know if I am in the comments. But having a 4-shot kill up close assault rifle damage is what I've been used to for Battlefield, and I like it so much better because it feels like you kill people a little bit less quickly. But if you do get into a confrontation where you're getting shot, maybe he's behind cover and he gets a shot on you, but you can aim more properly than he can and get a bunch of headshots on him, you can take him out. I don't know. Anyway, also the biggest thing for me with the weapons is just decreasing the shit out of the accuracy of the hip fire, because it's so frustrating, especially in Black Ops 2, people running submachine guns, lightweight laser sights, and all they do is hip fire. It's so frustrating, and that's also has to do with map design. They have a lot of close quarter engagements in Black Ops 2, and those submachine guns accelerate very, very high. And I personally don't like that aspect of Call of Duty, because I think it removes a lot of the skill of just spraying, whereas I think you should actually ADS, aim down your sights, aim for the head, and try and get a kill. The last thing I wanted to address was drop shotting and just jumping around, trying to outmaneuver other players. And this is something that they had in Call of Duty 4, and then they changed it. You weren't really able to drop shot in Black Ops, but then they added it back in, and probably purposely added it back in, which I don't really understand, because the idea of dropping to the floor instantly, it just doesn't make sense in a game, and it's really frustrating. And I don't think console players have experienced it quite as much, but on the PC platform, where you can literally have a finger dedicated to pressing your prone button, you can drop shot every single confrontation you get into. And some people do, and what they'll do is they'll jump around a corner and drop shot at the same time, and it's just it's almost it's the same frustration level for me as a guy that's running around Battlefield 3, bunny hopping around the place, screwing up his hitbox so you can't him, and he increases his movement speed. I mean, that's something I wanted to see fixed in Battlefield, but same idea in Call of Duty is this drop shotting aspect and just jumping around corners. I think drop shotting, if you do want to do drop shot, there should be an animation for it. You shouldn't be able to drop shot in the first place, but if you want to go prone, there should be an animation for going prone that takes a couple seconds. It's not instantaneous. And if you want to jump around corners, it should slow down your movement speed. And then the last thing I wanted to address, I keep saying the last thing, but this is truly the last thing, is flinching. Now, flinching, suppression are kind of in the same boat for me. It's essentially where you get shot by another player and it screws up your aim. And it's another aspect that kind of removes the skill from the gunplay, because if you're the person that's the first shot off and you make the other player flinch, or the same aspect in Battlefield, if you get the first shot off and make the other player suppressed, it takes a lot of the skill out of actually aiming and hitting your target, which is something that I don't even understand why people thought that was a good idea. Now in Battlefield, suppressing enemies, I mean, that's a realistic aspect, and that's a whole nother story. And I understand, and I actually do like certain aspects of suppression of, you're suppressing the enemy and they can't push up because they're suppressed. But flinch in Call of Duty is something that I would really, really like to see removed. Honestly, I don't think it's going to, because it's been there for so long. A lot of these things I don't think are going to be fixed or changed, just because I feel like I'm one of the very few people that actually want to see them updated. Anyway, that wraps up my wish list for Call of Duty Black Ops. Let me know in the comments down below if you disagree with anything or any other ideas you guys have. And I'll see you guys on Tuesday, and I'll try and make some more videos covering the new information that comes out then. But thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to give me a like or a favorite, and I'll see you guys in the next one.